Well, it's time to spill some tea. 3 minutes after 8 o'clock. Good morning to you. Welcome to Island 21 FM 98.9 on your FM dial. And I'm here with AZ. What's up?
It is a wonderful morning so far. I'm trusting and hoping that everyone is on their way to work. If they're working for 9, if they are working for 8, it's just a little past 8. And if you are at work already, I'm trusting that you are having a fabulous day, that you're fitting in, and that everything is going well. I just want to give you a little quote by Jim Johnson, a footballer, this morning. It says, "The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little extra. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little extra." And so as you go through your day and you want to make your day an extraordinary one, I encourage you to just put a little extra in the things that you're doing to make sure that the day goes extremely and extraordinarily well. So looking at some of the highlights, we see that the St. Kitts Media Association president has been elected to the 2023-2025 ACM executive. And the ACM executive, ACM stands for the Association of Caribbean Media Workers. And that was held in Guyana on March 12th. And the president of the Media Association of St. Kitts, Andre Huey, was elected as a floor member of the 2023-2025 term. And so we wish to say congratulations to him, and we wish also to say congratulations to all those persons who were elected. We know that the media is a very important arm. It is a very important, we know that there are 3 arms of government: the judiciary, the legislature, and also the executive. But some go as far as to say and consider the media as that 4th arm. And of course, the media, freedom of information, freedom of press, helps to enlighten persons and help to keep our society informed. And so the media plays a very important role in our day-to-day operations.
Hey, quick aside. I just not to derail you, but I just thought this was something to consider.
Mm-hmm.
When I lived in when I was living in Canada, right?
Yes.
The CBC, they had a show called The Fifth Estate,
Oh,
which was sort of saying, well, there's a 4th estate, but we're different. We're like a whole other thing,
Yes.
So that name always stuck with me. In fact, I found myself saying when I've done it on the ear before. I found myself saying 5th estate when I meant 4th estate.
Oh.
Because I had the CBC thing, CBC News thing stuck in my head.
So they're saying that they're completely different to
which I thought was
a completely different category of media.
It was sort of like their version of 60 Minutes.
I see.
But I always thought that's a pretty cool name, the 5th estate.
Yeah. But we look
Extraordinary, like you were saying.
Yeah. And of course, Jamster, that in Grenada, the reports are saying that the Prime Minister is fine after a car crash. So the Prime Minister of Grenada,
just saw that.
Yes, while traveling to Parliament, I think it was yesterday, he would have been in a car accident. And from all reports, he seems fine. In a statement, he expressed concern for the drivers, noting that not all injuries produce immediate pain. And he was on his way to the Parliament building. He was being transported. And that day, they were to debate a number of legislation, that includes the controversial data protection bill. So,
you know anything else about that? That data protection bill? What's that?
Well, I know the data protection bill, if it's mainly similar in all the jurisdiction, and we would have had our time too. I think it was passed here in St. Kitts and Nevis. We know that there's the Freedom of Information Act and the Data Protection Act is basically legislation that seeks to empower individuals to take control of their personal data and support organizations. So I don't know to the extent that I think that it will be similar to what we have here.
Yeah.
I could drop based on, because our laws are now public. Well, our laws have always been public. Let not me say public.
It's
I want to say
it's more accessible now.
It's more accessible.
Yeah. Okay.
Public is the wrong thing to say.
Yeah.
Before we could not access our laws online, but we can on the Law Commission website, and it has given us greater access, and has given and has afforded us the opportunity to, practicing attorneys, a greater opportunity to go online and see these
and familiarize
yourself with it. The Data Protection Act in St. Kitts and Nevis, it was passed in sometime, I think 2018 or the like that. And basically here, the object of the act is to safeguard personal data processed by public bodies and private bodies in an era in which technology increasingly facilitates the processing of personal data by balancing the necessity of processing personal data by public bodies and private bodies and safeguarding personal data from unlawful processing by public bodies and private bodies. So it's a protection of your personal information.
Yeah, but also on the legal tip, this is an interesting story. And I feel like this is something the listeners might want to weigh in on. In Antigua,
yes,
a parent placed in remand following attack on school principal. A magistrate had remanded into custody a parent who attacked the principal of a primary school after he had become unhappy with disciplinary action taken against his child. Michael Samuel will return to court on April 17 after he made an appearance before Chief Magistrate Joanne Walsh on charges of malicious damage to a gold chain, trespassing, and battery. The school principal, Christopher Roberts, had to be treated at hospital following the March 8 incident. He had complained of an injury to his shoulder and was released the same day. Several schools staged sit-ins last week, demanding improved security on their compounds. So one of the things that I always thought about, don't you think that parents should be charged for certain things minors do? I believe I firmly believe that would send a message to parents who probably maybe suboptimal, who probably do suboptimal parenting, that hey, I have to get serious with whipping my kids into shape. What do you think about that?
Well, in the article you read, I saw it on Loop News as the headline. I know that you read certain aspects of it, but is it that it was the father who beat the principal?
It was the father who beat the principal. But it's just when I saw the story, I thought of that whole thing where I thought it might be. I thought that perhaps parents should be charged. There should be certain instances where parents should be charged for things that their minors do.
Basically, when it comes to, in certain aspects, when you bring a minor to the court, there's where you have the parent or the guardian would have to be attached to the matter if it's a civil matter.
Okay.
So, but you're saying that the father trespassed on the school property and then beat the principal.
Yeah, the story isn't very
clear. They don't give more reason to it other than him being beat on.
The last paragraph says, in recent years, the use of corporal punishment in schools has been the subject of much debate in Antigua and Barbuda. Hey, let's take a call. Let's see what this caller has to say. Caller, go right ahead.
Good morning, Jamster, and
hey, what's up?
Co-host.
Host, yes.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hear that topic of which you're speaking about.
Yes.
And I think that people in general, our parents and the family and friends should be more educated as to the actions that they intend to take when an event happens to their children.
Yes.
Just the other day, I was listening to a lady, and she was really worked up and angry. And she was speaking about if anybody do something to she trial, what she would do from what she wouldn't do. And she ran and she raged and she went on like a dirt bike.
Mm-hmm.
And when she calmed down a little bit, I said to her, do you not think? Because obviously you're not thinking. That's why you're speaking the way you speak. Because one should really think before they speak.
Yes.
And I said, do you not really think, start to think, that you will serve your child's interest best if you let the law take its course when somebody have a conflict with your child? Because if you ever step out of line and do the same things that you're criticizing somebody else for, doing your child, you will be put away from your child for such a long time and leave your child open to the abuse of whosoever will. But if you're out, your presence could protect yourself, your child, and guide that child into the different direction and away from the catastrophe and the disaster that your child may get into.
Yes.
And so to me, in my opinion, parents should be educated as to the action that they should take in the eventuality that something happened to their child. Don't take the law in your own hand, because if you're doing it, you are doing the same thing that you're criticizing someone to do to your same child.
Exactly.
And you'll be put away from your child for just a long time. And that position, you will not be helping your child one bit.
Yes.
Thank you very much for your
You're
program,
welcome.
and
You're
thank you
welcome.
for your time.
I'm glad for the Wayne. And you know, you have these parents, AZ, who
Yes.
the kids do something and they swear, oh, my child would never do such a
Yes,
thing.
my child will never do something like that, not realizing that their children operate differently in different environments, and especially when they're not around.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes, you and I have heard that all the time, where they say, my child don't do this, and my child won't do this, and my child won't do that. And when they reach to the school, and
exactly,
it's a different.
I mean, I would look. Me as a parent, I would look at the evidence objectively, and if it comes down on this, I'm going to be harder on the child than anybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, to the caller's point, I don't understand why parents do that.
And the thing about it, based on stories of yesteryear, it seems as though parents were more. They take the schools stance first, and then they hear the information after. When I said that, in terms of, you hear the stories where if you get beaten in school, the parents don't want to hear what you did. They beat you again. Right now, it's a situation where it is, if you get beaten in school or something like that, the parent wants to go quick to go to this school.
You're speaking from experience?
No, I'm speaking from what persons have said. They're quick to go to the school and see what is going on and make tantrums and all kind of things, you know?
Yeah.
And
I mean,
rather than seeing objectively what the issue is and how to objectively solve that issue.
exactly. I wanted to talk on another story quick. This was a story since last week that we didn't touch. Grenada implements 100% duty-free concession for creative industry.
Yes.
And the government of Grenada has launched an exciting new incentive aimed at supporting investment and participation in the creative industry. What this basically means, folks, is that all the cultural industries, things like, let's use some St. Stevens analogs. If Toucan Sound wanted to bring in equipment, another stage, all of that stuff would be tax free, and that means the VAT would be gone as well. So they're thinking of 100% concessions on the common external tariff and VAT for items considered tools of trade, and that came into effect on March 1st.
Yeah.
And this applies to registered cultural and creative practitioners and businesses, registered retailers of tools of trade directly used in the production of creative goods and services, and registered education and community organizations or programs. So what this means is, take for example the music festival. I like to make things relatable. Over the years, we've brought. I remember there was a time we used to bring down a videography crew / film crew from Florida. To set up the cameras and all that stuff. They'd bring in the crane, the crane they use for the aerial shots and so on. And even drones back then, we didn't know anything about drones. Those people would bring in all that stuff. So, and I used to say all the time, well, why don't we, there must be, not there must be, we know Miguel, for example, across the street, a videographer. I said, there are people here who can do this work. Why not give them the concessions so that they can equip themselves, so that the money isn't leaving the country, going off to Trinidad or the USA or wherever it is,
Yes.
So it's interesting to hear Grenada stepping up and doing this. It's in Antigua it happens as well. I have a musician friend who told me that he was living in Antigua at the time. He said LA Crew. Yeah. They had they bought a PA system, right? And all they did was they hired a tractor and went to the port and just took the trailer. They didn't have to pay anything. You try that here, it's like pulling teeth. Well, not that you don't get concessions, but it's you have to be jumping through hoops. Yeah.
Well, let's see. Those who have ears at them here, let's see what would happen. I'm sure that they are aware, because it seems to be that you see pictures with our Prime Minister and the Prime Minister of Grenada, so maybe they are aware of some of the things that are happening in Grenada in their discussions. So.
This paragraph, I would love to have a situation where we can switch out the government of Grenada and be saying the government of St. Kitts. It says the government of Grenada is committed to the development of the creative industry, and this incentive scheme is a testament to that commitment. We hope that by providing duty-free concessions, we can enable more businesses and organizations to participate in the creative industry and help to create a vibrant and thriving sector that contributes to our country's economic and cultural development. And I'm here for it.
Yeah. Another thing on the same jam is that Dominica PM wants government to invest in a regional airline. The Dominican Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerritt Monday praised his Antigua and Barbuda counterpart Gaston Brown for his efforts in keeping inter-regional airline LIAT in the skies, but acknowledged the need for governments to invest in inter-regional travel. So the article, he speaks about having a construct like LIAT that would cater to the Caribbean islands and the region. He also mentioned that now when you're booking flights within the region, you can book today for tonight, or you can't travel from one country to the next so easily as you once did, and the need for them to invest in an inter-regional airline. And we know Antigua and Barbuda, Antigua-based LIAT, 1974 Limited, entered into administration in July 2022 following increased debt.
Don't you just love that euphemism, administration? Why don't you just enter into bankruptcy? Bankruptcy proceedings.
Following increased debt and the impact of the coronavirus pandemic. But Brown said that he now recognizes that Antigua and Barbuda is practically standing alone in the terms of having an entity that is owned by a group of governments. So it isn't unfortunate for the situation with LIAT. We know LIAT would have served the Caribbean well. And of course, Dominica, the Prime Minister of Dominica, is making calls, wants his government to invest in a regional airline.
And the thing is, what has always been the problem with LIAT is that I don't know if you know. LIAT is basically a Antigua Labour Party jobs program, right?
Jobs program. Oh yeah. It was.
That's basically what it is. I keep talking about. There was a CEO from the UK, I think, who laid out exactly what LIAT needed to do to make money, and they wouldn't allow him to do it. He said, listen, we have a way bigger staff than we need, because he said, listen, he pointed out that the budget airline model in the U.S. the way it works is the same person that checks you in at the counter is the same person that puts the bags on the conveyor belt that takes them out to the plane, and it probably will be the same person that checks you, that looks at your boarding pass again before you actually walk onto the airplane. Or she might meet you at the top of the steps on the airplane, and then she'll just leave when the plane is ready to leave.
Yeah.
Might be the same person who puts, well, maybe not the same person who puts the luggage in the thing, depending on the the weight and stuff. But the point is, the reason those budget airlines like Ryanair in the UK and JetBlue and what's the other one called, Spirit and so on.
Spirit.
The reason they do so well is because they have a very efficient barebone system. And he said, if I was allowed to do this for Liat would easily be making money, because he said that Liat was top heavy, a whole bunch of people sitting in an office.
But you realize the situation with governments, you find that when government gets control of certain things, you realize that the employment factor, because of the pressures of, I guess, the political pressures, that they overemploy in sectors that
exactly,
and
Liat has always been a dumping ground for people who need work.
So it's based on the discussion that we've had before, Jamster, the separation of party politics from government operations, and putting aside the party agenda and focusing on the government agenda, of course, and trying to separate party and government. I don't know when we're going to reach a stage like that.
Take, for example, Mr. Biden is in a situation right now where he cannot fire Mr. DeJoy. That's the head of the United States Postal Service. He cannot fire Mr. Ray, the head of the FBI, because of the way their system works. But then also, DeJoy might be a different matter, but Mr. Ray seems to be pretty professional. He was appointed by Trump, but he seems like a pretty professional guy, right?
Yes.
Now, to your point, we need to get to a place where we don't have police commissioners and all these people being changed, and a governor being changed every time the government changes. This is ridiculous. What happens to continuity when that happens?
Yeah, based on the creative, someone in the creative industry has said St. also has incentive opportunities for creatives. However, they have to be properly registered, i.e. business license, paid up. No outstanding taxes or social security payments, etc., or minimum outstanding payments. So they're saying that there are some benefits.
When you're ready to waive the VAT, tell me. The VAT gets waived for people who have way more money than all of us put together. So when you guys are ready to waive the VAT for us, get back to me. Somehow VAT only gets waived for white people, them folks, as I like to say. And certain other people. So when you're ready to do that, get back to me. Y'all don't get me started on this.
So we see a situation, and that is what kills a lot of the government and state-run organizations, the overemployment, and when you really can't handle it.
Yeah.
And that's why some persons have encouraged certain services to be placed in the private sector's hand to run. When you think about having that conversation, when you think about big government, small governments, do you think what do you prefer?
I am a pragmatic person. If it takes a big government to get things done efficiently, because you could have a bigger government that does what it needs to do. It might be low, and there's low corruption and so on. It just depends on the realities of maybe running that particular country or administrative region or whatever it is.
So you think that government should play a key role in almost all of the social aspects and all of education, heavily subsidize a lot of these activities, heavily employed and heavily being involved in the running of the country?
Well, I
think they should put things in place and have incentives for for others to do so.
I believe I believe for the most part, government should be creating. I mean, which is what they usually say. It should just be creating an environment where business and enterprise and so on, and people with initiative can thrive. And that means not being heavy, because in some instances our governments tend to be heavy-handed. They tend to be heavy-handed in terms of their involvement in the economy, especially. And I feel like if you just I feel like with deft fiscal administration and policy and a deft policy focus, you can have a situation where the government deftly points the economy in the right way, in the right direction, by just doing things that encourage business. And you can do that without being heavy-handed. But we have a lot of control freaks around here who get involved in government. So that's I don't know how that's gonna
Yes. So I mean, there's some persons again who think that government should create opportunities and allow the private sector to strive and to handle some of the services that we have and need.
I got a comment here. Someone commenting on what I said about I was just talking in general. I wasn't talking about.
Well, appointee could be so broad.
Right, you could have a political appointee who's like a killer technocrat who just
is because who is a political appointee? Is a political appointee someone who is employed by the former administration, maybe based on his or her skill, but also support. For example, you could employ someone.
By name is St. Kitts Nevis Trade and Labor Union. And the union was actually designed by the people and for the people, and representation and representing the people. But for some reason or another, that union get caught up in the, become like a part of an arm of the government. So those are things that we have to be very careful of.
Let me put it. Let me put it more directly for you.
Appear to have abused their associate power, the power from the people, and a power by associated with and aligned with government, which it shouldn't be so. Now, I'm not going to change the topic, but I'm just going to add to it. When I look around in St. Kitts, we have lots of skeletons, lots of buildings that are standing, construction that have started and stopped. If you go to Potato Bay, you will notice. If you go down to Pirates Nest in Frigate Bay, you will notice. If you go to Kittyshon Hill, which is our social security investment, that is at a standstill. That is not going anywhere. There is no progress on that. There not have been a long time that any one of those property have been sold, and it appears now it's a gated community. If you go to Kittyshon Hill, everything there in moving this country forward by finishing these skeletons, put them to use, and bring them back into circulation. Even Atlas Estate have dropped out of the loop. Rollins Plantation, you get requests for those. And the last but not least, I will say, we have 3 beaches in St. Kitts. 3 beaches in St. Kitts. And you want to tell me that during a time when we have 4 and 5 tourist ships in St. Kitts, one of them is closed off to the public? South Friars? That should not be. Last but not least, when Frigate Bay was laid out under the Gratcher administration, Sun and Sand, Leeward Cove, Island Paradise, and all the rest of those condominiums goes down towards the beach area, the Atlantic area, had a road that accessed the beach. So no one could ever stop you from going to the beach. Now you're trying to get the beach closed. You cannot come, you cannot enter here. And every administration sit by and watch that go to waste. And these things need to be fixed. So food for thoughts. Walk to do at home. You sit on the mic, you sit on the radio. They will hear you, they will listen to you. They will listen to the small people only when it comes election day. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your call and your contribution.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah, I mean, It's 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 a ticklish thing. I got a comment here about the political appointees.
Yes.
The person said that political appointees are square pegs in round holes. And I think, but to your point,
the definition is very wide.
It's not a pejorative. I find people sometimes use political appointee as a pejorative, meaning it's necessarily a bad thing. It's actually a neutral term. It just depends on who they appoint. I mean, you can have a political appointee who just happens to be someone who it's like the best thing that happened to a particular ministry or department, and by extension the country, because someone decided, okay, we need to get someone with ability to handle this job, or not, which is what most people are thinking of when they say political appointee. They say it like an expletive,
So here, what is considered a political appointee, and this is just looking on, the internet randomly, and it says these include cabinet secretaries and the subordinates and this is using the U.S. model, so it's not even a Caribbean model. So subordinates at the deputy secretary on the second to that almost, when you look at certain positions outside the civil service, contracts and the like, almost anything could fall under a political appointee, because based on how you view that individual to be. Because they may feel as though the minister hired that individual not just on merit, but because might be some persons who don't have that affiliation, or might just have a cordial relationship with the minister. You understand?
Yeah.
But I find, and not to be devil's advocate here, you're quicker to retain a contract if you're a foreigner coming in under a minister rather than if you're a local who got a contract under a specific minister.
Or if you're a foreigner, you're quicker to get a contract.
No, what I'm saying, when it comes to, if you're a foreigner, you receive a contract, and you're a foreigner and you receive the contract, I find that at times, maybe I could be wrong, it seems as though the foreigners who receive the contracts by a minister are treated differently than those local who receive a contract by a minister under their tenure. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, let's take this call and we're going to go to a break. Caller, go right ahead.
Yeah, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Now, Journey here. Your first caller made a point where he outlined a lot of things that are on hold on our island. Maybe it's time now that the former politician who was the Prime Minister then, the Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas, is now in office. We should have a journalist ask him hard questions, because these are questions that need answers. If they're going to come and invest, they are making us slaves to them. It is a fact. Now, wouldn't you rather be a slave to your own than to be a slave to... I'm just putting it bluntly, because all of us cannot be investors. The workforce have to continue. It's like, what is taking them so long to recognize that if we had made mistakes in the past, why can't we learn and move forward in a positive drive to empower our people, to uplift our people?
Yes.
It makes me weep. There's a professor in Nigeria by the name of P.L.O. Lumumba who says, people with ideas are not in position, or something like this, or those with money have all the ideas. What is this with us?
Wow, that sounds like me. That's something I say all the time.
But Jamster, our leaders have traveled. Somebody raised a point about the laptops, them coming into our schools the other day. I was in Taiwan for 3 months. And what I learned from these students at the university that we stayed at, they are guided by chores because they know they have to take care of what they have. These students in Taiwan, when I was there, they sweep the schoolyards, they clean the school, they take care of the computers. Here, What is with us? What is it with us that we...
Thank you.
Don't we have any value to anything? Because if we have gotten laptop first and now they're saying, well, what became of those laptops? Then everyone needs to be blamed, the leaders and the parents in the home. Because we need to be taught value. And it's not just about material things. We need to have value for our own selves, our bodies.
Yeah.
Sir.
Okay.
I so appreciate what you and Mr. Gumbs are doing, but this topic needs to raise more.
Yeah.
Because we have to cause awareness to our people.
Except
we cannot continue going for... I can say more, I can go more on a deeper political... just let me say this briefly. Mexico is now joining with the Great Reset with China and Russia. Yesterday I made a statement because the U.S. has been crippled. We are seeing bridge and roads are crumbling in America, and so is the dollar. And our elder lady, Mrs. Henry, took me up and saying, if the U.S. dollar is crippled, what's going to become? Well, let me tell Mrs. Henry this, and all who are listening, that right now there's a massive move on the continent of Africa with the Lumi dollar. And that in itself, it may not happen today, Jamster.
Yeah.
But it's going to cripple the U.S. and the euro, and that is what they are afraid of. It is happening. There is so much that is happening on the continent. I also said yesterday, and I'm going to finish now, can you imagine that Africans on the continent and in the diaspora start to take control or to exploit what belongs to you and me, Dramster and Mr. Gumbs?
Sure.
Thank you for hearing me, guys.
Okay, great. Okay, we're gonna go to the break. We're going to go to the break and come back, but I wanted to read this comment before we go. You are correct. Read the VAT for white folks and expats. Duty-free is not duty-free anymore. The only tax exempted on the duty-free for locals is a 6% customs service charge, and at 25, there's a 25% and up import. You guys want to get their pockets lined, so I hope you're not going to be one of them, I'm watching you now, Azard.
My hope is not to, if that opportunity arises, not to be like that.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
That's my hope.
Okay, let's take a break.
The opportunity arises.
8:46.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Strapped for cash? Get Instacash. Payday late? Get Instacash. Have items new or used you don't need? Get cash for them at Instacash. We buy and sell quality new and used tools, electronics, jewelry, household items, and more. If you're strapped for cash, think Instacash. Sell an item for cash or buy an item. Ask about the convenient Instacash layaway plans and buyback options. Instacash is same-day cash, no credit checks, and guaranteed privacy. Get cash for your goods. Visit Instacash across from Caribbean Lotto in the Hoswoods Complex or call 465-0222 and 669-8390.
Need some quick extra cash? Play Pick 4 with the Caribbean Lottery for a chance to win up to $40,000. Simply place your bet of $1, $2, $5, or $10. Choose your preferred draw time and play style, then select 4 numbers or play Quick Pick. Visit thecaribbeanlottery.com for more on how to play and to see daily draw results. If your numbers match the draw numbers, you are a winner. Get your Pick 4 tickets today at the Caribbean Lottery agents island-wide. Must be age 21 and over to play.
Life is unpredictable, When a serious illness strikes, such as cancer, heart attack, or stroke, the Family Critical Illness Plan from Kuna Caribbean Insurance can provide an extra layer of financial protection for you and your family against out-of-pocket expenses. Select a plan that fits your needs and get up to $90,000 in coverage. No medical examination is required. Contact your credit union or one of their approved family indemnity plan providers to enroll today. To learn more, call 466-9453 or visit their website at kunacaribbean.com. Kuna Caribbean Insurance, for all people.
St. Kitts and Nevis listens to
Win FM 98.9.
Win FM 98.9.
Island T, we're back. It's 8:49, and just letting folks know that the first edition of the Farm Report is at 9 o'clock today. And if any business, if you're a business person and you're interested in sponsoring the Farm Report, be sure to give us a call at 466-9586. We had Troy Flanders setting things off last week. Very impassioned appeals to the agriculture minister and so on to right some of the issues the farmers have. So we're going to be having a regular farming segment. The Farm Report starts at 9 o'clock today. Once again, if you're interested in sponsoring, come on board.
Report.
And we're back with AZ.
Yes.
So, getting some comments here, and this person basically said that was basically saying something I was saying. He said, if you are qualified for the job, you should not be classified as a political appointee. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it comes back to what I was saying about political appointee becoming a kind of like a put down, you know, when it shouldn't be really. You know, people should be put in positions who actually can do the job. Okay, that's fine if the person happens to be a loyalist, but they also need to be professional. They also need to be impartial, because at the end of the day, we're all Kittitians and divisions first. We're not supportive of a particular party. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm glad you used the American example, because just before that, I was thinking I was going to use that as a way to illustrate how political appointees happen. Because, for example, the National Security Advisor is a political appointee. The budget director and a lot of those things, that those people that work in the White House, they're political. Because you realize every time the president changes, those change. Yeah. But usually those people are technocrats and know their stuff, you know? Yeah. Okay. Oh, let's read this other comment here. That VAT response is incorrect. In Nevis, there is no duty, VAT, or custom service charge for creatives who apply through Culturama. In St. Kitts, creatives that apply through the Carnival Committee only pay the custom service charge. If you are a for-profit business, you should not be exempted unless you're expanding your business.
See, there are persons saying that creatives are given something here in St. Kitts and Nevis.
My friend is teasing me. He put a comment in here. Anyway, let me leave you alone. All love. On
a light note, Jam, so Spice sends tongues waggling with baby bump photos. So dancehall artist Spice has returned from her social media hiatus, and she apparently has company. The queen of dancehall is sporting a baby bump.
Yes. I was kind of worried when you heard, was it the Dominican Republic she went to have the operation? And I was worried that when she was in the coma. So I was like, oh my God, don't tell me she's gonna, But it's nice to know that she pulled through, because I was a little worried. Because a bunch of people have died going to the Dominican Republic for these cosmetological operations or whatever.
Cosmetic.
Yeah, like butt lifts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's really cheap, but apparently the doctors.
Yeah, but when you talk about butt lifts, a doctor was telling me a butt lift is probably one of the most risky of them all, because there's so many nerves in that area that I guess the procedure You know, I encourage persons to do squats as many as possible.
But you've heard the stories about like women, these shady women in the States doing it themselves, where
I heard those stories.
injecting like construction fillers and stuff into people's. How could you not know that you shouldn't be putting inorganic substances not intended for surgical use into a human body? I mean, I don't understand.
It's crazy.
You know what I mean?
It's crazy. It's crazy. That's why, I mean, you should try to, if you want butt enhancement, you should try to do it in.
Because I don't know if, because I think some of them want the heft in the butt cheeks, you know? Which is not really gonna, you're not really gonna get, you're just gonna get stronger butt cheeks if
but
you.
I'm sure there's some, I think squats would be able to do the heft that you're talking about and other things.
But,
I mean,
but it takes fat, but it takes fat for that. I mean, it takes fat to get that kind of nice round, you know. And the thing that black women manage to pull off that some of the other races can't pull off is that a black woman will carry that fat in a way that with aplomb in a way that the others can't. And I've seen women who like that, right? And they don't have any cellulite or anything like that. You know, it's just perfectly smooth, and it's very nice, I gotta say.
Trevor, I'm sure your wife is listening.
Why are you looking so awkward?
Because I'm here saying, I'm sure Trevor's wife is listening.
You're killing me. Man over here looking all awkward.
I'm here thinking, I hope your wife is listening to these comments and saying that you have seen.
Oh my God! I saw this story here about a local story. The Ministry of Ecclesiastical Affairs. They're doing how intellectual property laws impact the church. I thought that could be kind of interesting. In the sense that I guess they're thinking about they're thinking about the ways using, let's say, Kirk Franklin and all these other hot music that they do for the events, how that's gonna affect them. That's also take place on Thursday, March 16. That's tomorrow at 10 a.m. at the Pentecostal Church of God in Boone Avenue. So that's something they're doing. So hopefully we'll hear something about that later on.
Indeed.
Yeah, and St. Kitts and Nevis represented at the joint meeting at the OAS for International Women's Day. And we're seeing our friend that we had on last week in that picture, Sonia.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Mrs. Boddy Thompson. Yeah. She is basically the interim representative. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we have the farm report coming up in 4 minutes.
In 4 minutes.
It's 8:56.
Yes.
There was a story I was telling you guys about. I wanted to tell you guys. You remember I was telling you guys about the Botswana thing yesterday.
The Botswana in relation to
the diamonds.
Yes.
I really wanted to play it, but I tried to strip the audio and it wasn't allowing me to do it. So basically, the upshot of that is Botswana gave De Beers and a lot of the diamond companies until June this year that they're gonna change their cut from, I think it's might be 25% now to 50%, and they said that if they don't step up, then they just won't be able to get the Botswanan diamonds anymore.
Yes.
And then the person who did the story also pointed out the fact that something similar was done in Ghana, where the Ghanaian president he went to Belgium. I actually watched his speech, and you should have seen it. You should have seen how uncomfortable and the uncomfortable body language that these them folks had. Because he said, listen, you know, for hundreds of years you guys have been buying the cocoa beans, and
yes,
and he even pointed out the fact that, well, the way you got to get the cocoa beans at first, you didn't even buy it, you just stole it. So now he said, listen, Ghana wants to build up its value-added industries as far as chocolate and the cocoa bean goes. So we want to start processing. We want to start being an end processor of chocolate. So
that would have been an interesting clip to listen.
Yes. Let me see. maybe if you can talk about something in the meantime, I can see if I can plug it up. We have about 2 minutes. I think it's just on a minute long.
Yeah.
So
well, let me say this. There was something. I think there was another earthquake close to Antigua and Barbuda. Yes. So, Antigua, a magnitude of 3.7 earthquake occurred just off the northwestern coast of Antigua and Barbuda this afternoon, and this was 18 hours ago, so that would have been yesterday afternoon. The UE Seismic Research Center said it occurred around 1:55 p.m. and it had a depth of 19 kilometers. According to the automatic earthquake location from the UE Seismic Research Center, the earthquake struck 53 kilometers northwest of St. John's, Antigua and Barbuda, 84 kilometers northeast of Bastille, St. Kitts and Nevis, and 155 kilometers northwest of Guadeloupe.
okay, it's 9 o'clock. We can play this in the meantime. I think I have it now.
Yes, let's play
Let's
that.
see if I can get this.
And Botswana's president says that they are in a very good position to negotiate for. It is their diamonds. It is their diamonds. So I just read in an article that the president of Botswana says that if they do not come to the table on the 50-50 split, they are willing to walk. I like it for us. I do. I like the fact that Africa has gotten to a point where we have decided that we need to take back our power. You cannot be sitting with all the minerals in the world and yet your country is suffering. Makes no sense. But anyway, so well done to the president of Botswana for putting his foot down and making it known that at the end of the day, they're willing to walk. If you're not willing to come to the table, they will walk and take their diamonds elsewhere. The moment other African countries can start doing the same thing, it's like with Ghana. Ghana did the same thing when it came to cocoa. They said, if you're not willing to come to the table, then we will walk. I like that. So as you know, Africa is the biggest producer of diamonds in the whole entire world.
So yes. Okay. So now that was that clip I wanted to play, and Candy just joined us. All right, and yes. So Candy, I was playing that clip. Azard had to leave, so we back in, and I now have Candy. How did your meeting go?
Everyone, I am great. I'm happy to be here.
Okay. So I was telling you, remember I mentioned this thing yesterday about the Botswanan government telling De Beers et al. That they're gonna have to start paying 50% of the proceeds that they get from the diamonds, that they would have to start paying 50% by June this year. So I just played that clip, and it's interesting to see how our motherland fam are waking up and realizing.
People would say, right? Because I think they're clamping down with cacao as well.
Yeah,
in terms of chocolate
Ghana.
making.
Yeah.
So we're getting there. Finally, we'll probably be able to have possession or better possession of our resources and how they are used, how they are allocated. Maybe a bigger voice internationally.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed that works out.
Fingers crossed, yeah, for real.
I want to say good morning to everyone. And I just came from a very interesting discussion about water. And I think it's timely because it's something that I know the farmers will have something to say about. This month for the Rotary Club of Laimiga.
Candy the Segue Queen. I love that.
I just came from a meeting that they were having, a breakfast meeting, and they had a young water engineer I think his name is Ryan Phillip. Let me get that correctly because I really don't want to. Yes, Ryan Phillip.
Philippe, the actor?
He's a assistant water engineer for the St. Kitts Water Services Department. And this month is Water and Sanitization Month for Rotary. And so they had someone in just to keep us updated on what's going on in the water world. And some of the things we were talking about was, of course, the shortage that we're experiencing in St. Kitts, and ways that we could, I guess, come up with solutions for stuff like this. So some of the things that they touched on was, of course, a desalination plant, which I know has been on everyone that is knowledgeable and concerned, which is basically our entire population, about the water situation. A desalination plant is actually in the works. Hallelujah. And we're hoping that once it comes on stream, it will solve some of the water woes. Now, one of the things he mentioned is that it's still not going to stop them from taking the water at a certain point in time. So we still won't be able to have 24 hours of water as we were accustomed to. But good news, there's another plant in the works. So we're supposed to have 2 plants coming online.
Yeah.
And so that will eventually solve some of the problems. But he did stress that we should conserve more. So less washing of the cars, catch rainwater to water your plants and things of that nature. But some of the solutions that they're working on was drilling new wells, desalinization, conservation, and new tanks in certain areas. So I was really happy to be a part of that because I know the water has been a concern for every single citizen. We're all affected by it. I know Marriott has been helping the Frigate Bay area with their plant, but then the rest of us, you know. And something to note is that it's not something that they can help, because if we've been paying attention, we are being plagued by climate changes. And so, for instance, he mentioned that in the Wingfield area, up there, which used to be wet and moist and humid all the time, is now dry.
Are you serious?
The river of itself is dry.
Wow.
So, you know, it's almost like they're fighting an uphill battle. And I think we have a caller.
We have 2 callers,
oh,
man.
Wow. Nice. Hello, good morning.
Wait, okay. Hi, callers, go ahead. We await. We await the arrival of the farmers for the first edition of the farm report. But go ahead.
In the installation of the proposed desalination plant, we have the environmental disaster that these things does.
Well, actually, I'm glad you brought that up because
I mean, I know we can't have both worlds.
Exactly.
But I think we have enough water on the island. We just need to do more infrastructure from the main sources and try to reject this desalination plant. I don't think it's nothing good for a small island like us. Wherever they put the desalination plant, fishing is going to be dead in that area.
What if it's an area that is not...
Somebody's going to lose their livelihood.
Right, but so are you saying, because to be perfectly honest, I haven't investigated this. I just left the meeting and ran to come to the radio station so that I could, you know, do this part of my job. But I haven't done the research, and it may be something that we can present at a later date. But would it be possible that it's, you know, maybe it's an area where fishing is not very prevalent, that they can use that area so that the areas that we do fishing in are not adversely affected?
That sounds good, but then again, I'm environmentalist. I prefer that we explore the local water sources first.
Right.
Even have to engineer where we get water from the source, because we have places in St. Kitts where water runs 365 days a year.
Right.
So you don't see the need to have a desalination plant. We just need proper water infrastructure and storage.
Right. But you know it's something that a lot of the Caribbean islands are getting into.
We built at least 10,000 houses and we haven't built 3 reservoirs.
Right. Well, you know, he did mention that they're doing new tanks. And it's not even to be in defense because, like I said, I haven't done the research. But he did mention that they're going to be drilling more wells and they're going to be investigating new tanks. But I take your point, and it would be interesting to get someone in from the water department so that we can have this discussion, because I know persons like myself, we were always just excited to hear that they were going to do desalinization, not looking at all of the negative effects that you've now pointed out. So it would be good to have a discussion on that. Thank you so much for bringing that up.
All right, thank you. Respect.
Have a good one today. Thanks.
Okay, and we have our first we have our farmer here now, and Tris, introduce yourself. First edition of Farm Report.
Good morning and welcome. Come closer to the mic.
Good morning.
Yes.
How are you doing?
Good.
Great. So introduce yourself to our listening audience.
Yeah, man. That's my popular name. Everybody know yeah, man.
Yeah, that is true. I think you called in yesterday, right?
Could have been.
Yes, when we had Carla visiting and giving us some information on the repatriation project.
No.
Was it you?
No.
I think I heard her quote you. You were trying to get in.
It wasn't me.
Oh, no. So how are you doing today?
Man, not yet.
Well, hopefully by the end of this conversation, it'll be a positive feedback. Yeah. We're happy to have you here. This is a new segment that we created called The Farmer's Report because we had Troy Flanders visit us last week, and he shed some light on some of the plight that the farmers have been experiencing. And it was refreshing, it was educational, it was surprising, because I think we only knew of some of them, like for instance, the drought, that's been affecting everyone. We knew of the monkeys, but some of the things that he mentioned, I was actually in awe because I actually like farming and it's beneficial to all of us in terms of food security and all of that. But we did not know some of the things that you guys were experiencing. So we asked him if we could make this a regular segment to sensitize our population so that we're all working on the same page and towards one goal, food security for the nation. So here we are today.
My position.
Let's hear.
You see, listening to you is the reason I use the words trivialize.
Mm-hmm.
The clothes that you're wearing, they come from some kind of farm. When you go in the supermarket, everything on the shelf is farming.
True.
We are thinking of farming like a pound of pumpkin.
Right.
You see, when the baby of any life form borns, the first instinctive reaction is survival, food. It turns to the breast. It get up, stand up, and find the titty. Food.
True.
Survival.
Right.
My position is this. We're in a serious crisis. The government is playing, because the government is the people. The managers of the people's business, which is the government, they're playing games. Troy Flanders mentioned a video circulating. Anything I say, Google, Yeah, go look for it,
Right.
Go up the department. Go up there and ask them. Go by the PS. If you're listening, tell him, yeah, man. Yeah, no, he know. Because we confront all the time. It's not Pam labor and nobody. It's food. I got plenty children here. It's food.
No arguments here.
The farmers complain and send a video about herbicides.
Right.
The government sent out one saying they got. Now go up the department. They bring in something called Caristo. It is good on certain broadleaves. It would affect certain grass. It gonna eradicate the whitehead. It's good. Everything is not everything. Then It is non-selective, yes.
Right.
They bring broad trail. Broad trail. Go up there when I done talking, they got them. Is a selective herbicide. It means especially formulated to attack certain weeds.
Right, selective, right.
And number one is whitehead. So what they do is, they're bringing, you got to be there, you know what they're doing. Right. They're bringing the same thing. One in a...
Right. So what happened to the other weeds? Right, right.
But then what I'm saying is, listen to me carefully. The broad chill would kill the whitehead and whatever broadleaf only. The Carista does the exact same. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Of course, of course.
It means people do not know what they are doing.
Right. So you're bringing in stuff that's killing only one set of weeds while the others are flourishing.
Yes.
Now, have they had consultations with you guys as to what to bring in? And is it that they brought in the ones that would kill the majority of the weeds before, but no, that is not the case? Explain to us.
I'm going to tell you. You see, as old as that department is, it must have statistics.
Right.
It means people do not know, does not care, or you got the wrong management team. There is records to show.
What was done before and what worked?
Do you understand what I'm saying? The department have field officers, extension officers. These people,
You need more interaction.
I think maybe I'm the wrong person.
Why?
I think maybe agriculture needs to be taken out of the politics so the people can realize that national security is agriculture, is food. Why use a police and an army got for hungry, dying, starving people, except to kill some faster? We want serious things happening. No. The government embarked. This thing is an initiative from CARICOM that started under the previous administration to improve, to reduce, I think, food import within the region by 25%. If you look at some other states or countries, islands in the region, you would get report, do your research as to what they are doing and what they have done.
Right.
What is St. Kitts doing? They rode them to the farm. They said the backhoe breakdown. Well, a ticket to Dubai is 33,000 a papier. You know how much patch that could buy? That could buy a 2 ticket and new backhoe. If the people do not demand competence and fall in love with politicians and political parties, they will only always suffer. Do you understand what I'm saying? We need, me as government, they're talking about hospital, putting up a building somewhere. Right now, I'll be putting up a building. If we follow in world affairs, listen, I sure we foreign minister Dougie might have been in Dubai in that meeting, the World Economic Forum. Among everything that Klaus Schwab said, now these is the people who are running the yard, you know. is 3 things that is guaranteed to be affected is food, energy, and supply chain. What is that telling us? It's telling us we ain't gonna get no seed, we ain't gonna get no boat. It's telling us something. It's telling us no gas gonna be there. We need to be stockpiling.
Right.
The minister needs to go on a plane. I'm serious, you know. I'm serious.
Because out of COVID was that we have a supply shortage that we need to create. Learned our lesson.
So we haven't learned our lesson, exactly.
So we started the backyard gardens because it was convenient, and we started getting the stockpiling and everything done, but it wasn't continued.
Yeah, Trisha was saying basically that someone had said that people built out these gardens, which I think a lot of them probably didn't continue after things, after post-COVID, when things kind of went back to normal, pseudo-normal, and they lamented the fact now that we're going to end up with the same problem again.
Back
because
to square one.
Yeah.
I can tell you something about that. I would give this administration credit for the backyard garden thing. It started back then under the former administration. But you see how they're operating right now? They're operating backyard garden style. The backyard garden style is you go up there and you buy a quarter row of lettuce, you plant, maybe you get 12 tree come, you go and you buy some cabbage, something. That is not agriculture. And the reason that the people has a ministry that we paying people to make sure we got food. I can tell you something. There is a fertilizer. Go up there. They got them in stock. In the swearing in of this new administration, somewhere between there, the ambassador from Morocco spoke. And when he spoke, he said that even though things were difficult in his country, the government would continue to give the donation of fertilizer. The government says if they give the farmers the donation, they know what to do with it. So the government is committing the biggest fraud by selling the farmers the fertilizer. The bags, you go up there, they mark donation by the government, by the kingdom, not the government, donation by the kingdom of Morocco. It tells you how serious the people are and how much they really care about us and the future. Famine, dead, ain't going nowhere.
And we're joined by another farmer. We had been told that there were going to be two farmers today. The other farmers, right? Can you introduce yourself?
Can you introduce yourself to our audience?
Hi, good morning. My name is Solomon. Excuse me. I'm the president of the St. Kitts Farmers Co-op.
Welcome. Nice to have you here.
Thanks.
So we were discussing stockpiling of food because there is a food crisis worldwide, and we just touched on fertilizer. So those are some of the things we were discussing, and we'd love for you to join in on the conversation.
I would say, first of all, that it's a pleasure being here. And I do hope that my being here today would encourage someone, enlighten someone as to the current situation that we're facing. In terms of the ideas that were mentioned before, such as food storage, stockpiling, and the herbicide, the lack of fertilizer, or the issue with the fertilizer, I am of a different opinion. And I said it to the last government. when we were in the crisis moment and they were thinking about giving out stimulus, I said to them then, and I would say it, and I would constantly say it to this government and future government as long as I'm alive, is that putting some fertilizer or seeds or chemical in the hands of a farmer does not do much. Rather, take that money that you're going to spend for those, put it in development bank and allow farmers to access that at interest-free or 2%. So farmers would have something they can plan ahead and they can apply to their craft and be better used. For too long, farmers in St. Kitts, and I'm a farmer as well, I should clear on that, have gone down the road of looking for handouts. And I think we're way past that stage. As a proud farmer, I'm not looking for any handout. Level the playing field. Allow me to access what is there and I would manage. So whoever wants to go and look for handout, that's the option. But I think if we're going to move the agriculture sector forward, we need to be specific. Handouts, that's a thing of the past. Put the money in the bank and allow people to access it.
So treat it like the business that it is.
Exactly. And this is something I'm longing to see farmers rise to the occasion and recognize that we need to treat or trade or calling it, if you want to call it that, as a serious business. Just so the private sector can come together and manipulate and do their lobbying and do whatever they have to do to get through, we as farmers need to rise to that stage.
But Mr. Solomon, let me ask you a question. I mentioned last week, this was something that came up when Troy was here last week. The fact that in those larger countries, the farming industry is heavily subsidized, and the farming industry is heavily subsidized, and what happens is the government is on side big time in ensuring that European, American, maybe Asian produce is sold around the world, and it can be sold cheaply. So you're saying you're advocating for the opposite. So you don't think that there should be any kind of government subsidies? That's what you're saying?
I'm not opposing what you're saying.
Because given that we were a small state, and I mean, I don't think it's unreasonable to expect the government to do certain things to smooth the way for farmers up to a point. But you sound as though you're saying that you want that to be reduced.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying use it wisely. Put it in the bank and allow people to access it. For example, the U.S., and I would use the U.S., they can afford to do what they're doing because they have banks that are set up for agriculture, as we would call them, agricultural banks. Mm-hmm. And people can go and access it. There are certain requirements that they have to meet, yes, right? But the fact remains the funds are available that they can use. Now, we would know in St. Kitts, for example, it is difficult for a farmer to really go to any commercial bank and get a serious loan. Number one, because of the red tapes. Number two, because of the inconsistency in farming. If we eliminate these, you're putting the farmer on a level playing field to compete. And I often say to farmers that my competition is not Yemen or somebody else in St. Paul's or Sandy Point or wherever they're farming. Those are not my competitors. My competition is those trailers that are coming in weekly and daily sometimes. Those are my competitors.
You know, I think I understand what you're saying. The way I'm interpreting what you're saying, and to quote Yemen when he came in, one of the words he's been touting since last week is trivialized, right? And I think for far too long we've just been seeing farmers at the microscopic level, right? We've just seen them as persons who go out and till the soil. But farming is a business that affects all of us. Farming is serious. farming needs to be taken. And I think what you're saying is that it's a business and treat it like all the other businesses where you make access to funding and to grants and whatever else all the other businesses have. And you guys do have a co-op. So is it that we need to reinforce now the co-op and get persons to understand the seriousness of the issue?
Why? Think. The government from the Kingdom of Morocco, through their embassy and their people here, recognize that the farmers in St. Kitts had a little thing with the fertilizer. Is it handouts for our people who received the fertilizer in the name of the farmers to sell it to the farmer? No. It is one of the greatest fraud that Dougie, Timothy, and now Joe have committed and is committing. You cannot sell the donation. It cannot be a handout. No. If we are going to improve food security, me now walk wrong. My farm, I got water from top to bottom. When I plant sweet potato, I plant it on water. Listen to me. You hear me, Aya? Me not talk to talk. The only source of income I got is my farm. Farming for me, when I start to farm, you hear me? I start with 60,000. Money we had put up. You hear me? Farming is a very the food that we're selling now. 20 years ago, a pound at 2010, him as a farmer was selling wholesale a pound of cabbage for $2. Absolute truth. 2010, him as a farmer was selling a pound of cucumber for $2 wholesale. Absolute truth. 2010, him as a farmer was selling a pound, a pumpkin, wholesale, $2. Absolute truth. Carrots, $3. Tomato, $3. Watermelon, $2. Today, farmers are receiving and gladly taking $2.50 a pound for tomato, $2.50 and $2 a pound for carrots, $1.50 for cucumber, $1.50 for pumpkin. Every time you go, like the Coristo that the government has now brought in, $290 a pop. The people who are concerned about their people in the world knows the importance of agriculture, and I'm going to say Guyana, they give the farmers seeds. The U.S. subsidized the farmers 150%. For every pound of food they export, I mean, produce this amount more than we need. Going back to the stockpiling. Supplies. Agriculture, supplies. Not food. Supplies. With the supplies, we can produce the food. Agent. The minister need to get on a plane with whoever is the agent, the government checkbook, and procure what we would need for the next 3 years. This is survival. China is now in the war. Pay attention to the realities. Warren Buffett.
Yes.
If you listen to him about a couple of weeks ago, why are we so like our head is in the dark place that we are not seeing what is to come beyond the now?
Vision.
We are not seeing that farmers all need pickup. If you ain't got no transport, you ain't farming, you're farming ass. I think that's a good word. How you going to bring your food? Right. How you going to carry your thing there? Right. You understand? All them run by diesel. Diesel is $20 a gallon. Where is the support?
Right.
It means the cost of the food should be reflected in the...
So some sort of subsidiary.
Must. It is not handouts. It is the people's business. Why are we in the parliament making budgets for this amount of money in what is the purpose?
And to your point, because you're saying, and I think that's what Jamster was trying to point out, I think he thought you were saying that you didn't want any handout. It's not a handout if it's a subsidiary and every other business gets help. Small businesses get help, there are grants, you know.
I'm tired of
Expound on your point.
I'm tired of the concept that any one farmer think that they could make it by themselves.
Right.
Just how businesses get together, set up their plans and lobby, we as farmers have to come together, set up our plans and lobby. In lobbying, you can get a number of things done.
Is there something that you feel is lacking? Because I know you said you represented the cooperative.
Yes.
Is it that you guys are seeking more members? You're seeking some sort of voice? Tell us.
I would not say that we're seeking a voice. There are 4 agricultural corps in St. Kitts. We have the Sandy Point Farmers Cooperative Society. We have the Gideon Farm, well, it's organic. We have the Gideon Farmers Corp. We have the Lagos and we have the St. Kitts Farmers Corp. And if you put these 4 corps together and their membership, it does not even come up to, let's say, of the farmers in St. Kitts. And that should give you
Why is that so?
Because farmers are very selfish. And I'm a farmer and I can tell you that.
So, like you said, they're competing with each other instead of coming
Exactly.
together.
Instead of working together,
we
decide to
right.
See each other as an adversary and fight against each other. Rather, if we come together, we can accomplish much, much more. And it would be better for the agriculture sector.
But Mr. Solomon, clearly there's a lot of blame to go around. Yeah, I agree with you. I've heard this talk about farmers being selfish before, but clearly there's enough blame to go around. The government can do a lot better, no?
No, listen, I'm not in the aspect of blame.
No, and I'm not about blaming. I'm about
saying,
solutions.
For example,
I'm talking about solutions. I'm not
okay,
blaming. And this isn't even political. This is just it is what it is.
Well,
but to his point, if we can't get it together as a group, how can we now pass that message on to the wider population? I think that's what you're saying.
Exactly. And we look at it from this point, Jamster, and being practical with it. For example, like I said, our biggest challenge is not another farmer in St. Kitts, because no individual farmer can manipulate or satisfy the market for a week, never mind a year. But if we work together, we can say to the Ministry of Trade, this is our position. And there's a clause, and I want to get back to it, because in the trading arrangement, there's a clause that all those major countries use to guarantee a certain section of the market. In St. Kitts, for example, the Department of Trade or the Ministry of Trade is going to tell you, oh, we cannot do this and we cannot do nonsense. There is a clause. They need to get up and do their work.
Okay.
And recognize that there is a clause that allows you to protect a certain section.
Are you able to tell us the clause?
Mr.
I'm curious now.
Wait, quick thing. Mr. Solomon, I think maybe I was reading you wrong before. So what you're saying, in essence, is that given that there's such a small sample size involved in the cooperative, you're saying that if you had way more farmers on board, they wouldn't need.
They would have
exactly.
A voice.
We would be able to speak with one voice.
I got you.
But when we decide to stay in our corners, we would say, and fight down each other, we are defeating the purpose of farming. And I'm also saying here, and I didn't note the clause, but it's right there in the trading contract.
I'm definitely going to go research the clause
okay.
now.
And I'm saying here that we need to understand that whatever comes from overseas is best. Okay? So the supermarkets are going to go along that line because they are keeping their customers happy. If we were together, we would be able to challenge the Ministry of Education and say, listen, we need something on the book to teach people what it is to eat to be healthy. Not everything that comes in a tin is healthy. And I was just looking at an article last night, this morning, of the popcorn, microwave popcorn. And I see you going to offices and you see these young ladies taking out the popcorn from them and eating it and feel so happy. But what is in that pack? What is it doing to your health? How is it impacting you?
But could it be, like you said, I like the fact that you focus on education. Right, because I believe that all problems can be solved with education. I don't necessarily mean just school. It could be the way you put forward your product. Right. If I go into the supermarket and I'm shopping, we have a call. Hello, good morning.
Hi, caller. You have 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Yes. I was listening to Mr. Morton speaking about the cooperative. But from what I observe, that some farmers, they are afraid of victimization. So, and then the administration realized that there's a fear in the farming community of victimization. So what they do, they try to separate the farmers. You find they give some things and they hush them out. They give some and they just handpick who they want to give favors. And for that reason, you find the farming community fail to come together. It's something that's been happening over the years. The administrations, they put the farmers against each other. They don't want the farmers to come together. If you analyze it, you ain't see no serious effort made by no administration to unite the farming community. Thank you.
But why should we wait for somebody outside of our trade, our feelings, our industry to do it for us, when we can do it for ourselves?
Hear me. You see me and Mr. Morton, and to the front topic. Yeah. Mr. Morton topic is farmer ain't coming together. Me topic is securing food for the next 3 years and holding the people we paying. He ain't want to hold. Forget that. Mr. Morton, I play politics. You paying the people them to do the work. No. Make them pay.
I think the two of you are saying the same thing.
No.
But you're not listening to each other. No. It's the same thing.
No,
food
Mr.
security.
Morton is saying that if we organize,
right,
we can together as a body achieve and accomplish more. But because at present we are not organized, we are suffering. I understand. I can defend his position in his frame of mind. Right. Idea. A lot of things. I hear Conway's tell the PM, he gonna patch up his road so long until he go fix it. Hold on. I'm coming to a point. Hold on. The Minister of Agriculture has not met with the farmers to date. He may have gone and modeled visiting one or two farms, how can he even begin to formulate a plan on the way forward without consulting the people who are the active players?
This is true. No, nobody is denying that. But what I think Mr. Morton is saying is that if the co-op is up and functioning and you guys all have one voice, then it's easy to expect him to visit every single farm.
No, but
individually.
all the farmers, the ministers have meetings with the farmers.
No, I'm not even disputing that.
But
I'm
that's
just
it,
trying
you
to
call a
figure out what
meeting.
would be the easiest way to solve this.
You can't meet all the farmers on the farm. So you
But
have
who
a
holds the one
meeting of
voice?
the agriculture department
And
in
call
the
all of them.
conference room, and the farmers go, who
Fair
ain't
enough.
come, me and who ain't care.
Fair enough.
But that is what has
So no
been
meeting has
the
been ever called
practice.
since he's been in.
It
That's
is
the contention.
the practice.
Yes, meeting was called.
Okay.
But he was not present.
None.
And it was a letdown. I made my opinion clear at that meeting. Lobby step to give them two. That what we need is a proper system. I said it to Labour in the past, I said it to Unity, and I'm saying it again. We need a proper system in place. Our problem is marketing. And we have to deal with that.
I think we have a call. Let's hear what they have to say. Hello, good
Caller,
morning.
go right. Okay, let's see. Caller, go right ahead. You have 30 seconds.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Hi,
good morning.
Concerning the conversation you are relating to, I had a problem up at my farm. Late September, October. The permanent secretary reached up on my farm. He see the problem that I was encountering. Until now, he have not shown. He show his face back up here again. What am I speaking of? The Minister of Agriculture have not yet met with the farmers collectively up Agriculture Department. And it's, to me, it's an insult. Total insult. This is Cash I tweet. I may fear to call me name. What's going on with agriculture presently now is nasty. At some stage in life, we were exporting things overseas. And it's, when Minister destroyed, he along with Minister of Agriculture back in 1999. So ain't nothing wrong with the people them expressing their feelings. But things were going on anyway. We are the government, they are the ruling administrators, and they want to take the talking to from the boss. That's the problem. Good morning, goodbye.
Thank you so much for your call. We realized that, like I said, when you first entered, we realized that the issue is serious. And so this was one of the reasons why we created.
All right, we're going to come back with the farm report. Hey, and we're back. We're back with this show. We're having a very spirited conversation in there. The farm report. The first edition. We got 5 minutes until 10 o'clock. Okay, guys. Let's go. They're having a very spirited conversation. What is going on? Okay.
I wish to say that for the general public, this topic is not going to be settled today. So I don't want us to think that we can have all the answers today. There has to be a part 2, maybe part 3, a part 4 ongoing. Okay, so
Welcome back.
I don't want anybody to think that it will be settled today. However, there are 2 things I would like to mention. I see time is running, and
right.
This first one came out of a consultation we had recently at the Marriott, a monkey consultation. And I made a proposal then, and I'm here to follow up on it today. I put it in the farmers chat. I call farmers to a meeting. And the meeting is tentatively scheduled for not Monday coming, but the following Monday. And we're looking at one or two venues, the boys' school or the girls' school on Victoria Road. Reason being, I do not want us to go to Legreat and then people say, oh, government controlling it again, see some ain't going. I'm looking for people who are positive, people who are serious about agriculture. Come with your problems, but not only your problems, come with possible solutions.
Thank you for saying that.
Because
we can't keep pointing out the problems all the time. And no
exactly,
solution.
and if we're just talking about the problem and no solution, we're going nowhere. And like I said, we've passed the stage. So we need to have a concrete plan that we can say, this is what we want, and we're going to put a time frame to it. That meeting is scheduled for not this Monday coming, but the following Monday. And as soon as the venue is settled, I would be making more announcement about it. And that is something, and I hope, Yemen, you would come not only with the problems, but with solutions.
We had a very spirited discussion on
tell
our
me
break.
about it. I couldn't get you guys to come back on air.
Let me finish. That's one point. The second point I want to mention is that on the 6th of April, the St. Kitts Farmers Corp, along with the other cooperative societies, is putting on what we call sweet potato melee. Now, you know the Bay said he got melee for sale. Well, we are not saying melee for sale, but we're saying sweet potato melee.
What is that?
We have invited all the major hotels and restaurants, and it's open to individual, food vendors, when I say food, cook food, to do a sweet potato dish. Bring it. We're going to have 2 categories, the restaurants. If we get enough participants, we might be able to add a 3 for smaller restaurants. Hotel, restaurants, and it's going to be a competition. We're going to have tasting, we're going to get the public reaction, and at the end of the day, we tally it and we see where it is going, we award the winners.
Sounds interesting.
Anything that you can do from sweet potato. If you want to do salad, ice cream, lollies, whatever you want to do with sweet potato.
So it's all like a sweet potato festival.
Yes, but
okay.
this one
They're calling it a
melee.
Melee, I like that.
You know, so I'm inviting people to come out and be a part of it. And it's sad to say that these events are geared towards cooperative. And this is why I'm pushing for more farmers to get involved in their crops.
Right.
So that you can have a voice, you can have a medium to display your goods and advance the agriculture sector.
And I'm glad you said that, because like I was saying, when we are on the same page, it's just a different way of promoting what it is you're trying to achieve. Right, Yemen? Let's hear.
If you notice, you see everything I said, I gave you a solution. It's not problems. It's observation. And when we see, you see, to build strength is to tell the man, Aya, you're going wrong. And when your best friend cannot tell you that, Aya, they become your worst enemy, because they would lead you a kind of way, because you are sure that you're doing good, because your best friend got your back and your best interest. What I'm saying, when we see things, this is tomorrow coming. Mr. Morton is saying everything that I agree with. Unity is strength. That's what he's saying. He is quite right. I am saying immediately we're in a crisis, and the people at the top must be held responsible to respond in a positive way as best you can to this crisis.
Agreed.
When everything else is over, we need food. The women in St. Kitts once cooked to feed their children because they had no food. sugar apple, green sugar apple, and green soursop to feed the children. We cannot take this food thing coming lightly.
Okay.
Perfect note to end on. Thank
Which
you
is
so
why
much.
I'm saying get these young people attached to farms and let farmers
Educate
produce.
them, but
Let farmers produce.
Them.
But at the same time, you cannot put farmers to produce in a vacuum. Okay? We can red flag certain things. Is enough on the ground, we do it.
I think we have enough for you guys to definitely come back next week and finish up this discussion.
Absolutely.
It's an ongoing program where we are trying to highlight the plight of our farmers so that we can actually get something done about the issue. But we've run out of time today, so hopefully you guys can come back next week or send a rep.
Somebody else will come.
Okay.
But I want to make mention that we are all on the same page and we're all trying to achieve one goal. Food security.
National security.
Thank you so much for tuning in today, guys.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, well, hey, a very spirited first edition of, absolutely, very spirited edition of the Farm Report, and we're going to have them back next week. Candy.
Thank you so much. This has been Island Tea for March 15th. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Have a great day today.
And you have a great day. You look great in the orange, by the way.
Thank you.
And now stay tuned. We got the Spin Cycle Power Hour coming up next. Jams are in the building with great music, the best variety anywhere, right up until 11 o'clock.